So ordered. Whip Edwards, you have two bills in front of the committee this afternoon. 6039 and 6040.
And because you have so many people coming behind me to talk about all of these bills, I'll be very brief and just get them in play. But first, I'll just say I'd like to thank all the people who contacted me, both pro and con, on this issue. It was very informative. I read a lot of really well thought out emails, and I'd just like to say thank you to all the people who contacted us directly. I will be contacting all of my constituents who contacted me, but I did get all the other ones from people who were out of district. What these bills do, the first bill is on reciprocity. I'll speak to that. What that bill will do is it creates enabling legislation to allow the Attorney General to recognize other states' concealed carry permits and to have our concealed carry permits recognized in other states. It allows the Attorney General to contract with other states to recognize our permits. It would also allow law enforcement 24/7 access to out-of-state databases for people who are exercising their right to reciprocity. This gives our law enforcement more control, better information. Also allows recognition of out-of-state law enforcement personnel to carry their firearm for their protection in Rhode Island. It does not allow, I saw a lot of the emails, it does not allow other states that have lesser controls than does Rhode Island to have reciprocity with. If a state allows children to get a permit, which is not happening, but if it did, Rhode Island would not recognize them. The Attorney General has to find states that will be equal or more than our laws. Rhode Island has currently the 8th most stringent laws in the country. Rhode Island is an extremely small state. Just to come to the State House, I passed through another state just to get here. If you travel from the other side of the state, you travel through Connecticut as well. There are many of us in our daily work travel through other states on a normal basis. This bill would allow for Rhode Island's Attorney General to, on his behalf, go out and contract with our neighbors so our people would have reciprocity. The second bill deals with codifying the process to get a concealed carry permit. Right now, the process is willy-nilly. We have 39 cities and towns. We have 39 interpretations, and an Attorney General who has state law who is interpreting it, I think, correctly. But this would codify how the whole system works. It sets time limits to either approve or deny. Right now, there are none. There are no time limits. It establishes a emerging work extension only available on completed applications for work purposes only, and stops being fired and then being... If you work and you have to get your concealed carry permit, this would allow a more expedited process for your review, because there are people who have to have a handgun for their work. If they can't get it renewed in time, they aren't eligible to go to work. This would relieve that. It also sets forth a very clear appeal process if you are denied. Right now, the only way you can get your appeal heard is through the Rhode Island Superior Court. The Rhode Island Supreme Court, and that is discretionary. They can say, we don't want to hear your appeal. This will allow a very clear process for those who are denied, so that people will know they can either have the permit or they can't. It does not make concealed carry permits any easier to get. Does not. And it makes it better for background checks. It is a more consistent, clearly codified process. And there are a lot of people who are going to follow behind me who are going to speak both pro and con to both of these bills. I will let them carry it on. If there are any questions, but there are people coming behind me who will have a lot more information than I will. I put these bills in to clean up the process. Rhode Island, as I said, Rhode Island has the 8th most stringent gun laws in the country. I think they work. These don't do anything to change them. They just clean up the process.
Thank you. Any questions for Whip Edwards? Thank you, Whip.